What's happening, party people? In today's weekly update video, just some tinkering around. The video starts off like this scenery here. I'm leaving Lincoln, Nebraska. So I went from Lincoln, Nebraska, Cincinnati, Ohio, Kalamazoo, Michigan, back to Cincinnati, and just got into all kind of stuff. Man, we had a strange thing on Tony's car. We put a steering rack in it, and a couple hundred miles into it, the steering rack started locking up the steering. He would be turning right after taking off from a stop, and it would just lock up. He'd have to stop the car and turn it the other way to get it to unlock, and then it would drive fine for 5 or 10 miles and do it again. That's just a strange thing. And I gave him the rack out of Batman, and that it's been driving fine since. So, you know, this stuff like that is just really odd that happens. That rack was new. He purchased it from one of the vendors, and it's sad these new racks ain't no good. So anyway, I got a lot of different stuff in here. I appreciate you all watching. If you don't hear from me again, have a Merry Christmas and a safe New Year. And hey, I appreciate everybody's support. A couple people sent me some Christmas gifts. Right now, I'm in Dallas, Texas, but I'm headed down to McAllen, Texas to spend time with the family, and we'll have a good time. Everybody will be happy and appreciate the gift that God gave us. So Merry Christmas and happy, safe New Year. Thanks for tuning in and appreciate your support. We are on our way home from Lincoln, Nebraska, and we are about to have lunch, kind of an early dinner at Longhorn. See how this turns out. Finally kicking off the Tinker Day with the S60. It seems to be having some performance issues. Man, it's just not kicking like T6s do, so I'm gonna do a compression test, hopefully real quick. We're idling it now, warming it up, so we can do this compression test. Let me go get my tools and get ready to knock this out. Knocked off doing this compression test. I got back a number from I guess it's 4. Heck, where's the front of this engine? Number 4 is down to 90 PSI. So I'm gonna redo this. I gotta look through the owner's manual and see how to disconnect fuel, because it could be fuel wash down. You know, you never know. So let me put the spark plugs back in here, put the coils back on it, hook up these fuel injectors, and try to figure out how to disconnect fuel while the car is running. Number 4 is still a little low, but it came from 90 up to 145, so that's not too bad. Could be the gauge. Let me check the other ones. Number 1 has 145. Number 2 has 90. Number 3 has 75. Number 4 has 145. Let me check the last 2. Number 5 reported 60, and number 6 reported 145. So I'm gonna see if I made sense of those numbers yesterday and go from there. Kicking off the Tinker Day with a dilemma. I need to get my car dolly out here to go pick up a car, and this car is in the way. So I need to move it over about 3-4 feet. Had to put it back together to move it. All right, I'm gonna go set the parking brake, put the fuel pump fuse in, and try to move this thing. Ouch! Pepper has a flat, and that tire is destroyed. I guess I better just take it up to Discount Tires, have them fix it. Man, I hope I got a tire that'll fit on the front in the trunk of this car. Up here in Michigan to check out a car for somebody in Cincinnati, and stop by my buddy Dan the Man's place. Let's check out what he's got going. Man, he's got this Saffron up in the air. You gotta have a lift to get it any higher than this. He's got this thing up here, and he's about to do a rear end swap. He's gonna take this all-wheel drive rear end out and all the weight accompanied with it, and with some of the problems that come down the road with these things. And you're gonna swap it with this rear end out of this S70. Showed you guys a month or so ago that this S70 had been into a horrible crash. So he's gonna try to take the engine and trans out of it. 119,000 miles on this thing. But we're gonna take this rear end. I'm gonna help him since I'm up here. Put it over there. So we're about to get cracking. Guess we'll start with taking off the wheels, huh? Might as well. We got the rear end loose, trying to get the brake line loose. Then we're gonna get the gas tank loose. And we're just chilling a little bit before we call it a night. Woo woo. Kicking off the Tinker Day. Woo woo. Damn.
Yeah.
You're not worried about cutting into that transmission?
I might have nicked it. Maybe. Well, I mean, you know.
I would just sawzall through that part and down there. See if you could peel it over.
Well, I think I could just bend it now.
I don't think so, man. That subframe in there and that.
Let me see what I got here.
That piece, that apron.
Yeah.
And all that, like this.
Oh, I know it ain't.
We are chugging right along this morning. Dan has pretty successfully moved this piece of metal back so that this engine could possibly be shifted forward a little bit, maybe if it's not pinched in here too bad. Trying to get the engine tilted forward a little so we can get that brake line loose and then maybe salvage that engine. Over here, I got most of this side of the suspension loose. I got one bolt there holding this side up. Same thing on the other side. I went under here and the exhaust was actually kind of rusted together, didn't have a clamp on it. So I tapped that a few times with the sledgehammer, probably 20 times, and it popped loose. So the exhaust is loose. We're gonna put the floor jack under that right there. Take a couple more bolts loose. Take the bolts loose from this gas tank and hopefully drop everything down together. I'm gonna go around it. We cut this brake line, but I don't think I cut it, or I may need to cut it again here to get it free from there. Then I'm gonna take these fuel lines down and loose and probably disconnect them up there, because we'll pull the fuel lines out with it. Should be screwed together right behind the engine. And that way the fuel lines to the tank will be intact, and if somebody needs those fuel lines, they'll be accessible or available through Dan the man. So, gonna just be careful not to destroy anything, trying to keep everything where people that want it can have it. And let me go in the back, see what needs to be released from the back. I think all the wires inside are released, and these two shocks, lever mats are released from the car. They're all ready to fall down. We're gonna try to do this quick and easy. We got the rear end on the ground, but we still have fuel lines to get loose and a brake line. We're taking the brake line loose at the brake controller. So this is all pinched in here. So we removed all the subframe bolts and the suspension. We're going to see if we could lower this subframe down with the engine, or if the engine is pinched in the skin of the car. So only thing holding it up is a jack. Dan's going to lower it. Go ahead, Dan the man. I'll step back while you lower it. Since this is your facility, I know how sensitive you are about the maintaining whatever of your facility. Did you see that?
It's coming down.
But it was off the jack stands for some reason. Ooh.
Hey, it came down.
It unpinched. Woohoo! It's free. Oh man, it's nasty.
That wiring is fighting us, but that's easy.
It's nasty free. But we have access to get our fuel lines loose right here, is what we wanted, and the brake line on the other side. And we'll worry about getting this engine up out of here some other way. Your tensioner broke.
What?
Your tensioner broke. Do you have a warranty on that from FCP?
No, but I got another one.
All right. All right, let's see if this just pulls away. And it does. Well, a little bit of bad news, Dan. Hold this back a little bit. Pull that cover off. Go ahead, jerk it out of there. Come up now. Oh, I thought the timing belt was loose, but not really. It's just got some pressure on it from something over here. What is this, the water pipe pushed into the back of it?
Could be.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was broke, but it doesn't look broke. It's just got some tension on it. So,
Good news.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I thought it was bad news because I thought it was busted. Well, good deal. May have a good engine still because I don't see nothing busted over here. Once you get this pipe off of here, I wouldn't put nothing on the pressure on that with that pipe pushing on the belt. I think it's the coolant pipe is pushing into the back of the belt right here. So I would undo that, pull that away from the engine, and then put you a tool on here to see if your
How about we do this?
engine is still synchronized.
Robert,
Huh?
is this the pipe?
Well, yeah, probably better to pry it from down here.
It's that hard line.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can unbolt it from the back of the engine and pry it out, but if you have a long screwdriver, I could probably pry it out from right here. We bent that coolant pipe off of this back of this engine timing cover area, and that tensioner returned just where it should be. So this engine's probably okay. That's a good thing. Unless it took a big hit on that harmonic balancer and jammed that crank, which you might know when you turn it over, but it's always a little risk putting in an engine that's been in an accident, but it's probably fine. Next, we're gonna try to pull this motor up out of here. Not connected to anything. But it is tucked under this side of the car, so we'll have to shift it over toward the driver's side to get it out. So, see what happens. All right, folks, we got the engine up high enough and pivoted enough to get this subframe out. That sensor busted, that front mount busted, the steering lines are twisted, the rack took a hit here and busted that rear mount off, sheared that mount off. But we got this pin right there that holds the rotor to the hubs. Probably still good. We're gonna save that. And we're about to snake this engine out of here and put that aside with the transmission. Try to figure out what maybe was damage on the transmission, if anything, other than the lines. And then we'll be able to work on getting this stuff out the back of the car. Oh, it's tight. There it goes, moving. Is it tight? Think it got jammed up?
No, it's just tight.
Let me get the longer handle.
Yeah.
Got the long Pittsburgh one. Is it compression or is it binding?
I can't tell. There's compression right there.
Guess you could always put a starter on it and crank it, see how it feels.
It sounds like something's rubbing back here. I think it's, you know, I'm not worried. Turn it over.
All right.
I mean, I think it's pretty good.
All right, well.
I mean, if it's not, it's not. But I you know.
Yeah. So here it is, folks.
Ooh.
The accessories almost made it. Short of this hydraulic line here, something hit the starter.
Yep.
Moved the starter in.
Yep.
That's kind of crazy. Busted that bracket off. Smashed that turbo tube. Hit the transmission. Busted this here. Busted the transmission casing here. So that's how the inside of a transmission
I want
looks.
that piece.
For all that wondered, and we lost the dipstick, so we'll have to order a new dipstick.
Wow.
Here's the other piece.
Yeah, we'll just set them up here on top. I might. You know, try that JB weld.
Man, I JB welded a hole in one of my
'Cause
transmissions.
That's not a word. You know what I mean? I don't think that's gonna hurt nothing. Do you?
Well, you'll have to get another pan thing here. You know what you may want to do? I mean, if you need a transmission, I got transmissions. But you may want to take the solenoids out of it. People are begging for those. And these sensors.
Well,
You
I'm
got
gonna
a
leave it on the
Speed
on the
sensor
engine
up
box
here,
for a
and you
while.
got this sensor here. Somebody's car would not go into what we call lockup, kind of an overdrive, and I replaced that sensor right there, and it fixed that car. Somebody had actually installed a wrong sensor in there, but that was it for the final drive. So here it is,
There you have
removed.
it. Shoo-wee. I think the engine's okay though.
All right, we got this cleaned up for the most part. And we got, I think, everything ready, including the fuel lines off to drag this out of here. So we're about to lower this thing and drag this out of here. You gonna put it under the wheel?
I don't know.
You got one or two of them?
I got two of them. I'm getting the other one right now.
Okay.
I gotta get.
We're gonna put it on the dolly and take it out where it needs to be. Now we think somebody's gonna come get it soon, so they'll have a complete assembly put together and ready to go. We got one stubborn stuck bolt over there trying to burn it loose. Here it is. Brake line disconnected. Fuel lines disconnected from the fuel rail. Everything is intact. So you disconnect the brake line, the one all the way to the front, down the bottom. You disconnect the fuel line from the rail, the vacuum line from the back of the engine, the vacuum line that's going up to the engine with the fuel rail. This is tied up with this brake line. Disconnect that vacuum line. Disconnect your exhaust halfway down. You got 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 there. 2 17s and an 18. Same thing on the other side. You undo the ring in your fuel cap thing, and that bolt got stuck, broke off. That's a 14. That's a 17. Then 3 17s and an 18. And this is the bolt that broke off. We're going to heat that up, try to get that out. But I think we got to cut these off, or those off, one or the other. I think we got to cut those off to get the front wheel drive system in. So we're going to get that out of there just so it's not in the way of anything. And we're ready to pull the stuff from the front wheel drive car, line it up here and bolt it up, hook up those fuel lines and brake lines. It's a little easier when you know what you're doing. Oh, you have to undo the tank straps. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way so we can close this garage and save our heat. And I gotta run an errand. Well, I thought I was recording, I wasn't.
Yes, sir. We got her.
What is this here? I don't think I've ever seen that before.
What?
Some kind of evac canister.
Oh. Yeah.
A Smith & Bobber vacuum component.
It's critical.
Ain't that what your boy said last night? Just making stuff up. Got this S60. Woo, woo. Man, this thing is, whoo, it's wide. Barely fit inside the wheel things. Man, that got loose, really loose in my trip here. Make sure the inside is still hooked. Nope, the inside is not hooked. It's still holding. Oh, that's not tight either. Holding the hood down. This one's not tight either. And not hooked over there. Good Lord. I gotta get out here and redo this. Here we go, folks. Dan is trying to call it a night, and I am not.
I'm just tired.
I'm tired too. We're gonna jack this car up, move the big jack stands back here, and try to slide this out of here because it's just not. Car's not high enough to get it out.
Before we do that, let's put that subframe in.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up because we need parts. Bump stops and those spring deals were blown out, rotted out. Dan's gonna clean those up. The J-hose here was rotted off of that valve and split. This other hose, which is the actual J-hose, I forget what you call that hose, that's got splits in it and it's rotted out. The wire going to this valve, not sure what this valve is, maybe a purge valve or something, were rotted away and torn off. And we're gonna put a anti-sway bar on there and just put a new fuel pump in, and gonna do a couple of things to get this right, replace the shocks on it before it's installed, and of course put a new fuel filter on there, order some parts, and Dan will handle this hopefully this coming weekend, holiday weekend. Here we are back at Tony's. His steering rack went out. It's locking up the steering. And man, he took this rack that I had in Batman and cleaned this thing up. It looks like new. Pretty much. Man, that's a good looking rack. But man didn't have a drop in it. So we're going to put this over here. He's going to get it aligned and should be good to go. Tony is back on the road without a sticky steering. Tried to kick off the Tinker Day by, what the heck is this tree doing blooming? It ain't spring. Cut that out. Removing the battery from Panther so it can be charged, and I forgot the hood cable is broke on this thing. Hopefully there's some down here left because I closed that hood last time I drove this car. Let me crawl down here and see if I can grab it with some pliers. Dang. It was a hard pull, but I got it. Take this battery up here, get it charged. Coolant level looks fine. That's missing a screw. Let me go ahead and get this battery out of here and get it. Welcome to Bessler's. You pull and pay. I got to get, I guess it's a rare part out of a T6 out here. And man, I checked the Volvo price for this $5 Junkyard part is like $170 or something like that. $140, $170 something. I said, man, that's a lot for an inner tie rod in. I'm used to paying like, I don't know, $20 for a new inner tie rod in. So I need that and something else. So we are at Bessler's. And the Volvos are all the way down in the V. I got the airbox. I got the inner tie rod in it here. I didn't think I was going to be able to get a tool on it, but when I turned the wheel all the way to the left, fortunate for me, the wheel's not locked, and it went all the way to the left, and I was able to unscrew that thing. Now, this thing has a hydraulic pump here, and I don't know, FOMOCO, I think this is a steering pump here. I don't know if that makes this fully electronic or not, but we got some kind of sensor thing there. I hope this is the tie rod in I need. This is the one I got. So let me grab the air box. I needed that. Needed that tie rod in. I gotta get out of here. I got other stuff to do. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help, go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.